everybody, I know all of you guys are thinking all we talk about is race cars, but we also have in the stable, we have my 2010 Aston Martin Vantage, which is 420 horsepower and a lot of fun as a daily driver. So we're going to take you guys for a rip in that today and see what you guys think. Alright, so we're in the Aston. This is probably my favorite car I've ever owned, actually. So the Aston is a 2010. It's now got 88,000, almost 89,000 kilometers on it. I have been driving the ever-living hell out of this thing since 20,000 kilometers has caused me almost zero problems. The only thing I can complain about is that when I removed the thermostat, it recognized that and occasionally sets a code for that. And I'd removed the thermostat because it was at about 45 degrees Celsius one day and we were racing and it was getting a touch hot, so I just wanted to make sure I protected the car. In terms of the car itself, it has full leather interior everywhere with Alcantara ceilings. The fit and finish is quite nice. The paddles, they feel so good. Look at those things. They're made of magnesium or something. They're just beautiful and they just a really nice feel to them. Good weight. We're gonna go have some fun. So, I think I've done probably in the range of 10 oil changes so far. I've probably gone through, what do you figure, Danielle, 12 tires?
Probably more.
12 sets of tires. I've gone through a lot of sets of tires. I think last year alone we went through 5.5 sets autocrossing the car, which is pretty ludicrous. The car is just nice to drift, nice to hold on to. Easy to slide around, lots of fun. Thoroughly love driving this car. Its power is strong. It's 420 horsepower of a 4.7 liter V8. It sounds incredible. It's one of the only exotics I've ever driven that actually sounds as good inside as it does outside. The Lamborghini Diablo I had a long time ago, outside was amazing. This high-pitched, whirly sound, I can't even put it into words. It's just unreal. Straight pipe exhaust. I'm sure my neighbors hated me. In fact, I know they did because one of them hauled me out of the car one day to knock me out for waking up his baby on a Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. But you could literally hear me leave my house, drive down the highway to the local coffee shop, pick up a coffee, and then go to work from my deck. It was crazy loud. The problem was that inside sounded like shit. It was just baritone. There was no kind of pitchy wail or anything like that. It just sounded boring, to be honest. This car, on the other hand, like I said, I love it. Inside, outside, just an awesome acoustic pleasure.
We're doing the fun road.
Yeah.
Yay, fun road. Sorry about my skills here.
I've also exploded a power steering pump one time as I was doing donuts in the middle of the road, and I went full lock at about 5,000 RPM and exploded the pump. So that was a whoops on my behalf. I think the pump was about $1,100, $1,200. The labor to get it out was a pain in the ass. I think we had it on the hoist for something like 10 hours of work. I thought I should be able to get this thing out in like 2 or 3 hours, and the book time and the manual said all this list of crazy stuff I had to disassemble. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna do all that. So the first taking it out part took me about 7 hours, and then putting it back in part is usually longer, but because I actually followed the instructions, it took me about 4. So overall, working on it, I'd give it a 6 out of 10 to work on. The exotics are actually pretty basic. They're not nearly as crazy as everybody thinks they are. And that's actually what got me into working on exotic cars in the first place, was because I recognized that it was really easy to work on this stuff because most of it was basically made by Bob in his backyard. They didn't have the big money like the big conglomerates like GM or like Porsche or Ford or Volvo or any of those people that didn't have the huge budgets because they weren't producing thousands and hundreds of thousands of cars a year. They're producing very, very little cars. My favorite road. I love that set of corners. Always good fun. Always sketchy as hell. especially in the rain. And it's, what's the outside temperature today? 5 degrees Celsius, wet roads. The other factor of this is it does have a comfort mode. Now, the only problem with comfort mode is it does decrease your horsepower to about, I would say, 350 horse. But the ride quality becomes quite agreeable. And if you're not running like full race tires like I always run, it's actually quite smooth. And honestly, you could drive no problem to Vancouver, 1,200 kilometers, and back in this car and not be upset and not be desperately uncomfortable. Most of the exotics that I've driven, I mean, especially that Lamborghini Diablo, sweet Jesus, you wanted to burn that thing an hour in. The seat was horrible. The seating position and where your arms and legs are, they're just horrendous cars. Beautiful to drive around the city and show off and open your scissor doors, and not the most enjoyable car to drive on a daily basis. However, since they are always trying to kill you, if you can actually harness the power and not die, you feel pretty good about yourself. Now, in the case of the Aston, it's a little sketchy, but not brutally so. So it doesn't get too tail happy, it doesn't get too understeery. It's really good mid-range handling, good brakes, good power, good handling. I'd kind of compare it to, in a sense, it's like the Boxster S. No, it's not as good as the Boxster S in terms of an actual overall track car, but it's like the Boxster S in its balance. It's not overdone in any way. It's just a really stylish car that handles, drives, accelerates, brakes very well, and you're never really bored of it. I've had this now for 6 years, and I still love it every day. This is the spot where I usually go to play. We'll see if that works today or not. We might get in shit for that. We'll find out pretty shortly if we get arrested.